the most racist president. I mean, this man was dropping the hard R-N word for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
He hated Black Americans, and yet we learned in public school that he was our savior because he inked the Civil Rights Bill.
He had the
But
right
he had to.
But he had to. That wasn't by choice.
He,
Who is the stronger enemy? Is it the government or is it the media?
Well, they're working together, and we know that for a fact. That's not a conspiracy because you could, while you're home, look up Operation Mockingbird. I think this is one of the things that I care the most about is becoming educated outside of a textbook, outside of the public school system, because the government controls what you're learning. This is the purpose of the establishment of the Department of Education. Your government is deciding what you're going to learn in the textbook, and you are accepting that as a reality. And it's very far from reality. It's very far from what actually happened. You're basically reading a fairy tale. Just a fairy tale all throughout school about what happened in human history.
The winners rewrite history.
That's exactly right. And so it's important to, at the very least, dabble in what they've declassified. And so one of the things that was declassified by the CIA was Operation Mockingbird. After JFK was shot, the CIA established paid journalists on their payroll, tons of money to them to just Mockingbird, say the same talking points the state wanted said. First and foremost, why would the government do that after JFK was allegedly shot and they didn't know who shot him?
Right.
Well, they knew who shot him, and they needed to make sure that the people believed whatever narrative was being peddled. So you look at that declassification and you see who they were paying, New York Times, the same publications that are telling everybody that if Trump gets elected, it's going to be the end of the world. And that should signal to you, after doing that research, that essentially, and this is my perspective, there's zero evidence they ever discontinued that program. In fact, it's probably only gotten bigger and more varied. And what I mean by that is they probably even have podcasters now as a part of Operation Mockingbird, probably streamers as a part of Operation Mockingbird. But it is all about their belief and their understanding that if you say something enough times, it becomes true.
Yeah.
And we have seen that writ large.
In psychology, that's the illusory truth effect, I think they call it. That the more you say something, the truer it becomes.
And people will, and we have seen this, not believe their own eyes if somebody says something enough. People legitimately felt, and this gets back to what you were saying about the hatred. You're like, I didn't understand what was happening. I understood what was happening. Every single day, the media was telling people, she hates Black people. She wants to help Black people. So eventually, with enough insistence, they knew that Black America was going to believe it. And sure enough, Black America bought it. This must be a girl who wants to help create a society that she can't live in. I mean, it's so foolish on its face that you would think, okay, no, why would any person want to be like, hey, I really want to bring back white supremacy. I just want to make sure that I'm segregated across the street from you. Your common sense should come online, but it doesn't, because that is studies that have been done into how you can infiltrate somebody's psyche. So
and to bring it up, and even your book, you speak about the resilience and the strength of our ancestors, and really standing firm for them today for all that they went through. But it seems like, I don't know, that message kind of gets lost, or maybe because it's not so dialed in. But everything that you speak of is like, look, we went through, or our ancestors went through so much, so that we don't have the victim mentality any longer. And I think that might be a little bit where, if it was a little clearer for Black America to know that, no, she's actually speaking the same ideas of a Malcolm X or ideas of the strength of what we've been through. So therefore now we have to, even it's probably more on the Booker T. Washington approach more than the W.E.B. Du Bois approach. But it's look, we can build our own. We don't have to be victims. And I think probably during that time when you were having, going back and forth with BLM, I think it just was so, the tension was thick. So that I think they were missing the message that, you can have a different perspective and still be on the same mission. You know what I mean? Because I think ultimately we are Black in America. So it is what it is. There's no hiding that. But it's there's multiple ways to kind of operate. Now, always, like I said, I believe there's a lot of people who have the Du Bois mentality, and there's a lot of people who have the, bootstraps mentality that Booker T. Washington was talking about. And I feel like the ideas of conservatism are really more rooted in how we all kind of as traditional Black people come up. Like
Right.
we have vocational skills, we have the ideas of like what you grew, or your grandfather grew up in North Carolina, right? Fayetteville, North Carolina, and it seems like that was somebody who was really influential in your life and your perspective. It's like my grandfather was from North Carolina as well. It's like, yo, they gonna get out there and they gonna farm, they gonna crop, they gonna do it themselves, and that mentality kind of gets lost in a post civil rights generations when they say like, oh yeah, we are owed certain things, we do need certain things, but I do kind of feel like it's almost this, I don't know how to say it, like because or you put it as a victim mentality,
Right.
but because the truths are the truths. We see where it's harsh, and we see that this system was not designed for us to win, but it's not really designed for anyone to win except for that top 3 or 1%. So,
And yet, remarkably,
right.
And this is the thing that I can't understand, because it's a paradox.
Yeah.
Black America will say, this system wasn't built for us, and yet they insist on more system. Right. The first thing they do is say,
Right.
we need reparations. Well, how's that going to happen? We need more government. And I just go, have you paid attention to anything that has happened in this country?
Right.
Have you paid attention and gone backward and understood how you got into this predicament? How you could possibly think it's almost an abusive relationship. Like the solution is, I just got to go back to that person that just keeps punching me in the face. That's where Black America is at right now, right?
Right.
It's almost I understand it, to be clear. I am compassionate in understanding, because of how much I've studied the history of psychology, that it was nearly impossible for Black Americans not to land up on the left-leaning side, not to believe that, white people were their number one enemies. They sat down and thought, you get these people into public school and we will fill them with garbage for the first 18 years of their lives, right? So that's hard to undo, right?
Right.
That you're being intentionally targeted in a government classroom, and they are selling to you every day that you are a victim on purpose. This is they want you to come out the other side and insist on more governance, because that's the ultimate goal is to recreate slavery and not even have Black Americans know that they're slaves. The perfect slave is a person that doesn't know they're a slave, right?
Hit it on the
And
head.
that's Black America. Black America will literally say the absolute most about how bad government is while insisting that we have more government. Like welfareism did this to Black America. It is a fact that in the 1950s, under Jim Crow, that Black Americans were outpacing white Americans in terms of growth. That's why most people have fond memories, and I could be dating myself right now, but I'm 35, of your grandparents, like better values, going to church. My grandfather started a business despite the fact that he started on a sharecropping farm. Faith was at the center of the family. And then you go, what happened? Well, what happened was, despite there being Jim Crow, or because of Jim Crow, Black Americans couldn't rely on government. There is this simple thing that when your back is against the wall, you will fight, And so then LBJ, who was the most racist president, I mean, this man was dropping the hard R N word for breakfast every day. He hated Black Americans. And yet, we learned in public school that he was our savior because he inked the Civil Rights Bill.
He had the
but
right
he had to.
But he had to. That wasn't by choice.
Literally, he had a figurative gun to his head.
Yeah.
And there's more stuff that he did in terms of trying, the draft, wanting Black Americans to die first in Vietnam, because he was so committed to racism. And he said, signing this, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And in one fell swoop, he signed welfareism in. And that's what broke down our families. That is the pipeline to prison.
Took the Black father out the household.
Yes, the denigration. And that is why I think, actually, I've landed better amongst Black males than amongst Black females, is because I understand that the denigration of the Black man is a big piece of this, right? It was intentional. It was targeted. And media plays a role in this. Hip hop plays a role in this. All of this is by design. It's not by accident. And it's just so foolish to think that the solution is going to be the very people who sat down and put together this Machiavellian plan.
Right. So it's like they say the schools and organized religions are the mindset, the slavery mindset. So it's like they say if they tell you what to learn, that's slavery. If they teach you how to learn, that's true education. So in that process, and even in the system that we're currently in, and even I was kind of leading with that question a little bit when I said, like, who's the bigger enemy? Is it the media or is it government? But you said both, which is a great answer, but you are also a strong voice in both of those spaces. So how do you operate knowing that the power that you have, and it's so, you persuade a lot of people, you have a lot of followers, and you say a lot of things that make a lot of sense, that make people, that either scare people, they either enrage people, or people, you shift a lot of mentalities. In that setting, though, and knowing this is, as I believe you've talked about it before, is like spiritual warfare. How do you deal with that every day, getting up with like that type of weight on your shoulders, knowing like it's is deeper than just two sides, like it's real spiritual warfare going on,
right?
And you have to figure out through the manipulated entertainment that we call media is, but you're right there in the center of it. And people are probably trying to use you constantly. And when they can't use you, they want to silence you. So how do you deal with that?
I've never had an issue, and I think this just boils down to character, and I do think that it could be genetic. I think I really am like my granddad's granddaughter. He passed a few years ago, but I have never struggled with going the way of the truth. Like I genuinely, there could not be an amount of money offered to me that I would say something that I know to be untrue. If I was willing to do that, which to me is quite literally selling your soul.
Right.
I think when you tell a lie, it does something to you.
Right.
Spiritually.
Yeah.
I would much rather, I've always been this way, I'm too honest is actually what my problem is. Like Kanye once said in a song, I suffer from realness. That line hits.
Right.
I'm like, I actually suffer for it. Like if I could just shut up and peddle the lines and let everybody do the thing and Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, God, my life would be so much easier. They would have me on the cover of Vogue, Cosmopolitan.
Right.
She's speaking out Black America. My life would be amazing.
Right.
But that's not the path for me. I've never struggled with being myself and telling the truth. And I've been that way. Even if I do something wrong, I always tell it myself instantly because I don't like the feeling. Like it feels cancerous to me. I do think that lies build up in your spirit like a cancer.
Right.
And so it's shocking to me when I see people commit themselves to that for comfort, because maybe you feel outwardly comfortable, like maybe like the house is bigger and you're getting more money, but inwardly you have to be dying. When you know something to be untrue, worse than that, not only do you know it to be untrue, but you're then dragging people into a pit of hell, right? There were people who genuinely believed that Black Lives Matter was going to be a solution. And I don't fault those people. I just want to be clear.
I was definitely one of those people.
And that's fine. People that genuinely believe that, I don't care. I always say, I'm like, this person actually believes that.
Yeah.
But then there were the people who knew. Right? Who knew that it was an absolute farce.
Right.
Who knew that it was going to result in the same thing that happened in the 60s. I said it from day one. Black American neighborhoods are going to get burned to the ground. Then there's going to be the quote unquote white flight. You're going to have the businesses moving out of the neighborhoods. There's going to be desolate. And it's going to take decades to repair it. And then everyone's going to look around and go, what do we get for it? And the money's going to have evaporated. No one's going to wear that, but it definitely is not going into Black America.
Well, I think people didn't understand the political approach of it. They
were enraged. They were enraged.
Yeah, they understood that they needed to utilize their voice. They didn't know that they were being politicized as they were, like, they said, we're angry and we're upset, therefore we know we need change.
And that's toddler behavior. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I say. What they're doing right now systematically is they're turning Black Americans into toddlers, okay? So you look at the literacy rates right now, 40% of students cannot pass a basic literacy exam. It's more abysmal even in terms of mathematics in America. I think in California, it's the worst, by the way. Something like 70% of Black boys can't pass a reading exam.
Wow.
Slave code. Don't teach a slave how to learn how to read. Why? Because then you'll tell them what the shadows on the wall mean, right?
Yeah.
Here you go. Shadow, literally Plato's allegory of the cave. Right? You will tell them what it means. I know you can't read and you're not going to understand this. That's what they're doing in Black America. But you feel emotional, right? You're scared, right? Okay, well, what you need to do is go burn down your own neighborhoods for justice. That's toddler behavior. My child cannot read, right? So he's filled with emotions to the brim and things don't make sense. And I expect him to throw a temper tantrum and throw himself when I say you can't have Skittles for breakfast.
But Dr. King says, like, riots are the voice of the unheard, and it's in that if you have no other tools, then you got to shake some shit up.
Well, we should take a look because he got killed also by the CIA. But the end of that game of rioting those neighborhoods meant that all of those cities were rioted, and those cities, Detroit, Chicago, the white flight took place, the businesses left because of
Right.
those civil rights riots. I am a big believer that you should use your brain, right? And I'm not sure that burning down your own neighborhood is ever a sensible thing to do. I'm not sure if burning down your own business, getting yourself arrested, getting stuff on your records is really going to make you heard. And I don't know.
It'll definitely make you heard, though. It'll
You
make
might
you
feel good like punching a wall. I mean, this is like,
It's emotional intelligence.
but it's not.
No, I'm saying now that we've understand that we know what emotional intelligence is. It was a lack thereof during that
Just
process.
emotion.
Yeah. So.
And it feels good right away when you're mad, punch a wall, do this, but then you got to deal with the fact that you just punched your own wall, and so who's going to fix the plaster, and how much is it going to cost you to get the handyman in here to do that, and was it really worth it?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you're solution oriented, but a lot of people don't have the emotional intelligence up top, and they want to say, I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm loud. And I think a lot of people, not just in our community, but even in this political joust that's going on right now for the presidency, that's what we're witnessing. We're witnessing a lot of pointing of the fingers, we're witnessing a lot of name calling, and then now that it's gotten to a point where, people are dying, literally, there was an assassination attempt, and on that day people died as well. And it just shows, as everyone's saying, the rhetoric has gotten so vicious that people are really losing their lives. And not to say which side originally caused the rhetoric, but it sounds like this could be a bipartisan time that everyone is here in America likes being American. And is there an opportunity for us to all coexist as Americans and unify and utilize something like this as a wake-up call to be like, all right, so maybe the things that we can be projecting out into the world through the media and our government isn't so divisive.
Yeah, I think, once the slaves wake up and realize who the master is, there's always an opportunity.